Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Pass is intercepted at the goal line. Up for the layup! Oh, blocked by James! Curry, way downtown.
Welcome back to the 2020 podcast, where hindsight is 2020 and the takes are always 10 out of 10. If you're returning, you're probably wondering where my co-host / producer Jacob is at. If you're brand new here, check us out on YouTube, TikTok, share, talk some smack. We appreciate it all. We just, whether you hate us or you love us, we'll take it either way. Jacob is on assignment tonight, as they say in the baseball world. And that would be work. He is stuck at work. And I thought that I would hop on here, do a little mock draft myself here. Never done one of these solo. Never hosted the recording on any podcast type website or anything like that. So chances are this is going to go terribly wrong. It'll never see the light of day, just like a podcast we just did. And I'll just have the memories to laugh at myself later on. But we're going to go ahead and give it a shot. As we know, the draft is a couple weeks out. Things are starting to heat up in terms of the rumors. Some of our favorite aggregators out there have started dropping their podcasts, what they think are going to happen, their mock drafts. And of course, me and Jacob have to jump on and try to see if we can add our names to the mix, try to be famous by getting all the picks right, and mostly just hold each other accountable. As it comes down to these things year after year, we have draft crushes and we want to be able to say, I was the one that got it mostly right. So yeah, that's why we do this podcast. That's why we have this podcast, to hold each other accountable years later for all the silly stuff that we say. So we're going to go ahead and get this started. As everybody knows, any football fan knows, the Raiders are on the clock at pick number 1. We all know that they are going Fernando Mendoza, quarterback here. He has been installing the Raiders offense. They recently signed Kirk Cousins to mentor him, which is an interesting decision because we know Kirk has been, not as willing to be the mentorship quarterback in the past, but they signed him to this massive contract, which in reality is just a 1-year deal. And so hopefully he's willing to put his arm around Fernando, show him what it takes to be an NFL quarterback. And maybe this is finally the time for the Raiders to turn things around and bring their franchise back to prosperity, let's say. I don't really know. I think winning 8 games or 9 games for the Raiders, they would act like it was winning a Super Bowl. Their fans would. So hopefully this is the first step towards that. As we go into pick number 2, we have been seeing a ton of Arvell Reese here. I think that is what the betting favorites are right now. I think that's what we're seeing out there a lot. But just because I want to shake it up a little bit, if you've been paying attention to mock drafts, if you've been watching anything lately, you have seen that there is a ton of smoke for one David Bailey, edge rusher, to go here, number 2 to the New York Jets. Now, this would definitely be a big swing at the top of the draft, different from what we've been seeing. Not necessarily the player being a big swing, but just everybody seems pretty convinced that Arvell Reese is going to go here. I am going to break the mold a little bit and select David Bailey at number 2 for the Jets. He is not going to fall far, though. If he does not go number 2, we're going to go ahead and slot him in right there for the Arizona Cardinals at number 3. Obviously, Cardinals have a need at quarterback. They have a need at tackle. But adding a player like Arvell Reese, the quality of player he is at this high of the draft, they're probably going to be drafting here high again in 2027. So getting a long-term answer at an important position for them would be a pretty big step in the right direction for the Cardinals. As you guys know, I'm a huge 49ers fan. So the Cardinals have been kind of a joke for quite a number of years now. And so they just need to start building their franchise back up, obviously letting their ex-franchise quarterback go in this offseason signals a big restart for them. At number 4, we have the Tennessee Titans. There are a lot of ways the Tennessee Titans can go here. This is a team that needs a ton of talent. They got a brand new quarterback, sophomore Cam Ward. They have a brand new head coach, and they just need to add talent anywhere they can. They could go offensive line, they could go edge, they could go linebacker, but I think Jeremiah Love off the board here at number 4 would be a huge impact player for Cam Ward in that offense. And also, let's be honest, picking this high in the draft, tackles aren't always the sexiest thing. Fans want to see a exciting player. They want to see a reason to buy tickets. They want to see a reason to go out and watch the games. And I think that Jeremiah Love here would be a reason for the fans to go out. Now, here we have the New York Giants. New York Giants have needs at guard, wide receiver. Malik Neighbors obviously coming off an injury. Cam Scatabo coming off an injury. Lots of different places they could go here. There's Sonny Styles. There are just a couple different options. They need safety. I think it's probably way too early for Caleb Downs here. So we're just going to slot in the tackle from Miami, Francis. You know, if you guys watch the podcast, you know that Jacob is the guy with the names, not necessarily myself. So we are not going to embarrass ourselves on our first solo pod here by trying to say names that we do not have a lot of practice saying. So we're just going to go with Francis M from Miami, first tackle off the board here, and we're going to leave it at that. Browns. Interesting offseason for the Browns. Obviously, we know Shedeur Sanders is out there. Lots of talk that they are going to go ahead and go with Deshaun Watson. Obviously, I'm sure it's going to be an open, or maybe it won't be open, but I'm sure they're going to have a camp battle. They're going to go a couple of different routes to see which quarterback plays the best. Obviously, I imagine they're going to go with whoever wins the quarterback battle, but I got to imagine there's a lot of internal pressure with that contract to hopefully have Deshaun Watson be the one that wins this competition. This is the highest I've taken this player in a mock draft so far. Carnell Tate, wide receiver out of Ohio State, giving either Deshaun or Shedeur Sanders a huge, massive target, top 10 draft pick here. And I think I have spent a lot of time going offensive tackle and a lot of the more previous mock drafts that we've done, but we're going to go ahead and slot in Carnell Tate at number 6. At number 7, we have the Washington Commanders. Running back is a need. Defensive line is a need. Safety is a need. Wide receiver is probably a need. There are a lot of different routes that they could go. We still have a Ruben Bain Jr. We still have a Sonny Styles. Caleb Downs is obviously there. This is probably the lowest I've seen in a mock that I've done Sonny Styles go. We are going to go back-to-back Ohio State players here, drafting Sonny Styles here to the Commanders. Now, we get to the Saints, and the Saints are the first real wild card here. Lots of different ways they can go with this pick, lots of different things that they can do. For myself and Jacob, we have really been sticking to the big board style drafting so far, where we think this player is ranked at this position, so we've been taking him. But as we know in the drafts, skill players always tend to go higher than anticipated. There always seems to be a run on wide receiver. There always seems to be a run in on quarterbacks. There always seems to be a run on edge rushers, whatever the case may be. The skill level players always seem to go a little bit higher, and we are going to go ahead and start that here with Jordan Tyson to the Saints at number 9. I don't think there have been very many mock drafts where we have seen Jordan Tyson in the top 10, except for one I saw today. I saw him going number 10 to the Chiefs. It got me thinking. And it's like, they're always, matter of fact, in this draft I saw today, it was Jordan Tyson over Carnell Tate. He went before Carnell Tate. Now, I don't think that actually happens, but there are just always these players that you do not expect that just go a little bit higher. Pretty much every mock draft that I have done so far has had Caleb Downs here to the Chiefs. They need to rebuild a secondary. They lost multiple players this offseason, and obviously they traded Trent McDuffie to the Rams, which as a 49ers fan absolutely sucks. I hate every second of that. And they need to rebuild that defensive secondary. So Mansour Delane here at number 9, I think is a no-brainer for them. And I think that is, depending on who's sitting there, they filled a big hole this offseason with Kenneth Walker. So if Jeremiah Love falls, I don't think this is the spot for him. Could they go wide receiver? Absolutely. If Carnell Tate's sitting here, if Jordan Tyson is sitting here, I could definitely see this pick. Wide receiver. Patrick Mahomes has had to carry this offense for quite a number of years. Most recently, his numbers have been dipping. I don't think he's lost any talent, obviously, but they need to get him some help. So this could be wide receiver, but all the help in the world's not going to help Patrick Mahomes if the defense is just leaking like a sieve. So they're going to go defensive back here. Cincinnati Bengals at number 10. It feels like they could do just about anything here. You have a Bain Jr. sitting here who I am very, very high on. Spencer Fano out of Utah. I've seen him in person myself. The man is a beast. A couple of other good tackles. But yeah, I think Caleb Downs here. I know that the scuttlebutt, let's say, the past couple of days has been that this player and Caleb Downs is more between the 10 to 20th range versus top 10. But top 10 or 10th, this is the Bengals. I think this is where they go with the pick. And this could be a trade down position for the Bengals. There's a lot of different things they could do here. And I just think that Caleb Downs fits best player available right here. The Dolphins, Tyreek Hill, not on the team. Mr. Jalen Waddle, not on the team. They signed a bridge, transitional, future franchise QB, maybe, and Malik Willis this offseason. He's got no one to throw to. You may think it's a little early for a Mekhi Lemon here, but I do not. They have to get this young man somebody to throw the football to. And I really don't think that they brought him in and paid him, gave him the 2-year deal just for them to be bad the next 2 years. I think they want to compete, and giving this guy a stud pass catcher to throw the ball to is going to be a big step for them to try to compete this season. That brings up my favorite team, my absolute favorite team in the world, the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm half tempted because once this is done, this podcast is done, I'm going to ship it off to Jacob and he's going to edit it, put it together for me. I'm so tempted to do something crazy here for the Cowboys because it just seems like them taking a Zion at 12, even though he's better suited for them later in the first or something crazy. Jacob himself has been a big fan. I shouldn't say fan, but he's drafted Dylan Thieneman from Oregon a couple of times, obviously still on the board here. But with a top 5 expected pick in Bain Jr. and a team that just gave away Micah Parsons last offseason, needing desperate help in the edge game, we're going to slot Bain Jr. here at number 12. Looking at this, do I think he's going to fall this far? I don't. I think that Jerry Jones would probably be falling all over himself to turn in this draft card to be able to take Bain Jr. at number 12, but sometimes this is just the way the board shakes out. With a couple of wide receivers going there early that we didn't expect, this is how you have a quality, very good player fall to you at number 12. Number 13, the Los Angeles Rams. They are definitely going to go offensive line here, I think. Wide receiver is a need. Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua. Who knows what's going on with Puka Nacua? I won't step in any of that here. But, he's definitely had an interesting offseason. Oh, no, I don't know how to go back and fix that. Undo pick. Hey, PFF, you're looking out. You're looking out for me. I appreciate it, PFF. You guys are ballers. Yeah, they're not going safety at number 13, I don't think. It'd be crazy if they did. But if they do, I'm going to clip this and put it on our TikTok because I accidentally guessed it first. Spencer Fano out of Utah, big boy. I've seen over the past couple of months him as high as top 5. I don't think that's exactly where his skill set sets out to be, but top 20 pick for sure. Sliding him in here, the Rams are going to need the help. I think it makes a ton of sense for them. Do I think the Rams could go wide receiver here? I absolutely think the Rams could go wide receiver here. But with me already taking Mekhi Lemon, with Carnell Tate off the board, I just think that maybe they go offensive line here and take Spencer Fano. The Ravens, I really just think that I have done over and over and over the guard from Penn State. I always make Jacob say his name, so I'm not even going to bother. This is where we have gone multiple mock drafts now. I am going to go a little different. We're going to take Kenyon Sadiq here at number 14 pick. right in front of the Bucks, who I've had him go to a couple times. I think that this pick makes all the sense in the world. It's low-key a big year for Lamar Jackson, I think. You know, a couple of MVPs, hurt last year, and obviously new head coach out there. The Ravens moving on after it seems like 117 years of John Harbaugh, moving on to a new head coach. I think that getting him a super young stud, Fields, he could get open down the field. He can get open in the red zone. He can get open in the end zone. I just think this would be a good pick for them at number 14, the best tight end in the draft off the board here. That leaves us with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and an interesting choice in front of them. Could they go edge? Could they go, obviously not tight end? Could they go offensive line? PFF has linebacker listed as in need. We have CJ Allen sitting there. There are a bunch of different ways the Buccaneers can go. And just like the Bengals, I think this is a really interesting pick because I think it's a trade back position. I think this is a place where teams in the draft in the back half of the first might feel that they can get up and get a good quality player at. For this, I'm not doing any drafts because I'm not doing any trades because I think it's too complicated to do by myself. And me and Jacob have had a certain cornerback who has fallen every single time we've done a mock draft. He has just fallen down the board. I'm not going to let that happen this time. Jermon McCoy, I'm going to take him at number 15. And a lot of people might think this is really, really early for him. But watching one of the mock drafts I did today, they had him going even higher than this, which is shocking to me because one of the mock drafts we did, I think we had him falling out of the first round. So obviously, out of Tennessee, everybody knows the known talent there. Everybody knows the known issues. And we're going to stop the slide at number 15 here. Number 16, we have everybody's favorite football team to laugh at, the New York Football Jets. Obviously, we'll go back up to the shocking decision to take David Bailey at number 2 instead of Arvell Reese. And they are not going to go chalk this time either. They are going to go wide receiver. Obviously, we have Omar Cooper Jr. here, ranked at 24. Might be a little high for him, but they are really going to shake it up here. KC Concepcion. I saw this in 2 different mock drafts today and yesterday. This player going in the top 20. I do think it's a little crazy, but when you have Jacob, my co-host, he likes to do the mock drafts based off of where he has the players on his big board. That's what he likes to do. When I do the mock drafts, I like to try to nail the picks. I like to listen to what I'm hearing, looking at the betting odds and see how close I can get to nailing the picks. And having KC here in the top 20 is definitely something that I've been hearing. It's definitely something that I think there is smoke to, and I am going to go ahead and slot him here. The Detroit Lions, offensive line all the way. We got the guard out of Penn State. Not going to try to say his name. Even Jacob kind of messes up on it a little bit. I think it is a no-brainer that they are going to go. I think it's been Monroe Freeling a couple times that we've drafted. I think that's also been, we've even had Blake Miller going here at tackle. But with the guard available, that's where they're going to slide in. Don't need much to say on the Minnesota Vikings. Dylan Thieneman, his slide is going to end. I think this would be a matter of fact. I think most of the time that we've done this draft, it's been Emmanuel Warren that we've drafted here, but with Thieneman still available, I think that the Minnesota Vikings run to the podium to turn in this draft card. Although you don't really turn in the draft cards to the podium, obviously, but you guys know what I'm saying. They are going to slide in, grab Thieneman here, and if he's not available, then I think they go ahead and grab Emmanuel Warren. Okay, the Carolina Panthers. I think the Carolina Panthers would just absolutely love to get some more help for their young quarterback. Jacob is a huge Bryce Young guy. I was a huge Bryce Young guy coming out of he played in LA in high school, and I've watched pretty much his entire high school career, college career, and I really wanted him to be successful as a professional. I think the jury's still out. I still think there's a chance. coming into this draft and grabbing an Omar Cooper Jr. at wide receiver helps them with that. Could they definitely go tackle a Monroe Freeling? Absolutely. There is a ton of tackle talent out there that should be available at number 19. Could they go defensive line? They definitely could. I think we have had Peter Woods going as high as this, obviously still available. PFF doesn't love him too much. Caleb Banks a little bit in front of him as far as PFF goes, but we know that PFF is not the end-all, be-all of this, of course. Now, back to my, as I mentioned before, my absolute favorite team here, the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, the first pick here, Dallas Cowboys went with Ruben Bain. They filled a huge edge hole that they have, which is probably a position that they would think that they would be filling here. I've seen Akeem Messador here a lot. Here's my thing with Akeem. He's a good player. He's 25. He just had the best season of his college career. But when you're wondering about a 25-year-old grown physical specimen of a man playing against these 19, 20, 21-year-old college kids, it makes you wonder if the best season that he's had so far is a product of him just being more physically developed than the rest of the players he's going against, or if he's going to bring that fierceness and that physicality to the next level and it's going to translate just fine. A question I definitely have. Obviously, with the Cowboys here, they were able to fill that need earlier in the draft with a free pick, Ruben Bain falling to them. So with needs at defensive line, linebacker, corner, could we go corner? Could we go Caden McDonald? Maybe not quite a fit. Obviously, they got Big Quinnen over there. So I think we're going to go to corner, and we're going to take Mr. Terrell from Clemson. Jacob loves this dude. He's drafted him multiple times here. So I think it's definitely a no-brainer that they're going to be able to take corner and edge, two solid players for them. I think this would be a big win for the Cowboys in this draft. Steelers, Monroe Freeling, they, like I've said a couple times, they'd be running to the podium to turn in this draft card. A player that can play either tackle side. Is Aaron Rodgers coming back, guys? Is Aaron Rodgers going to be the quarterback of the Steelers this year? We don't know. Seems like he's going to be, but it hasn't been completely confirmed yet. Either way, they're definitely going to need some big-time tackle help. The Chargers are going to be a landing spot for a Peter Woods, for a Blake Miller, a couple different players, but with safety being in need and Mr. Emmanuel Warren still available, I keep finding a way to have this player fall to the Bears. I just really want to see this guy be a Chicago Bear. It hasn't happened. And even with me fully in control of this mock draft, I can't find a way to get him to fall to the Bears. So we're going to stop the slide at the San Diego Chargers. This guy just seems like a Jim Harbaugh player. I think this makes all the sense in the world for the Chargers. And sorry, Bears fans, I controlled the podcast. I controlled everything that was happening, and I couldn't manage to get him to you. So that's where that lands. Let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles, and let's talk about if A.J. Brown is still on this football team when this pick comes up. Let's talk about it. Because if he is, Denzel Boston, I think you, sir, are a Philadelphia Eagle. If A.J. Brown is not on the Eagles, you know what? Is A.J. Brown worth a first-round pick? That's an interesting question. Is he worth a second or third-round pick? Because if he's worth second and third-round picks, and I don't want to get into what he's worth because I always seem to be wrong on these things, maybe they take wide receiver here anyway, knowing they're moving him day 2. It's definitely a potential. For this particular mock draft, I'm going to assume the rosters are what the rosters are. We're going to take Blake Miller here for the Philadelphia Eagles. Not taking a wide receiver because he's still on the team. He hasn't been traded, and that's kind of where we're going to go with that. Like I said, if he is gone or if they know they're moving him, I think wide receiver makes a ton of sense for them, but that's where we're going to shake this one out. Now, going back up here to the Browns at number 6, they already filled a big need here with Carnell Tate. They got a big wide receiver, obviously quarterback. I don't know if that's a need. I don't think it's a need just because, they have quarterbacks. They may not be that talented or that good, but they definitely have them. Although, spoiler alert, I am a Shedeur Sanders believer. So we're sitting here, wide receivers in need. We filled that. We do have needs at the offensive and interior offensive line positions. Caden Proctor is a big-time tackle out of Alabama. Now, we've done a couple of mock drafts here, and Caden Proctor has slid, and he's also been taken early in both of the mock drafts. Seems to be a kind of interesting, people have opinions on him. Some are good, some are bad. I think this is a player that could easily go way higher than we were expecting and easily fall out of the first round just based off of some of the weirdness surrounding a couple years back. And this is why it's hard to do this by myself, because Jacob would remember the player, but the Titans took an offensive tackle, J.C. Latham, maybe that was him, way earlier than anyone expected. Hey, Jacob, if you could just put a blurb in here, right here next to my head that says whether I'm correct or this on the player or not, I'd appreciate it.
Correct!
Took way higher than anyone expected, and it didn't really work out, but Caden Proctor really has that feeling for me. For the Bears here, as I mentioned, trying to find a way for Emmanuel Warren to fall to him, any safety to fall to him, that's just not going to work out. So I feel like for the 15th time here, Caden McDonald from Ohio State, you are a brand new Chicago Bear. I think you're going to fit right in with this defense. I think it's going to work out great. And the Chicago Bears here are pegged for me as another trade position. I think a team could move up a couple spots. If there's a player they really like, the Bears would move to the back end of the first or back out of the first completely and pick up some more, draft picks later in the draft. I think there's a lot of things the Bears could do here. And, if somebody falls that they're in love with, I could see them taking them. But like I said, I could also see them trading out. So Buffalo Bills, I think Caden McDonald is definitely a obvious choice for the Buffalo Bills, but unfortunately for them in this mock, he is gone. Defensive lineman, linebacker, safety, CJ Allen, he is sitting there from Georgia. There's Cassius Howell, Kedrick Fault, TJ Parker, Akeem Messidor. I think there are a ton of edge rushers that make sense here. I think CJ Allen makes sense here. Not obviously if the safeties fall, I don't think they're going to, because there's been no way to get them even to the Bears at this point. And obviously just a little bit early for Kamari or AJ here. The corners, Colton Hood. I'm a big fan of Colton Hood. Just don't think this is the spot for him. Obviously, with the linebackers being in need, it makes sense. So this is where we're at, which puts my team on the clock. Now, historically, the 49ers do one thing in the first round of the draft. They go wide receiver or they go defensive line, whether that's edge, whatever the case may be. Reuben Foster a couple years ago, wide receiver, edge, wide receiver, edge. I know there's been a lot of smoke this year about Trent Williams. I know 49ers fans are ready for the 49ers to take a tackle in the first round. I just don't think that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch are breaking stride here. I think they're going to go edge, or I think they're going to go wide receiver. And Denzel Boston, I like the player. I don't think he's going to be a 49er. I think it's edge. Now, Akeem Messidor, we've already talked about him. A little bit older in age, pretty much pro-ready. Keldrick Falk here, Cassius Howell, TJ Parker. I think we've seen all of these players. I know that I've seen this draft a lot lately. I've seen a ton of Caleb Lomu here. I just don't think the 49ers are going tackle in this draft. I think it's edge. And there's just really not, looking at this draft board here, there's not anyone here that just I'm screaming excited about. I just don't. We got Nick Bosa back. We got Mykel Williams. We traded for, Osa. We traded for Osa. We're going to leave it at that. We traded for Osa. So you may not think defensive line would be as big of a need as it is. Obviously, Alfred Collins, a rookie last year. And so I just think edge makes sense here. TJ Parker, going to slot you in as a San Francisco 49er. I don't know if I'm super ecstatic about this pick or not, but this is where we're at, and this is where we're going to go. Texans here, I think a CJ Allen makes a ton of sense for them here if they're available. Obviously, no running backs available that you're going to draft this high. There's a kid out of Notre Dame, but we're probably not going there. I think interior offensive line, offensive tackle, Caleb Lomu, we're going to slot right in here. I don't know if Caleb falls to number 20. Now that I'm looking at this, I'm not exactly sure if that is what exactly is going to happen. At the tackle position, I think much more likely that Max is the pick here, but Caleb Lomu was available, and we're not going to undo a bunch of picks just because we're not feeling great about it now. So that is where we are going to sit. For the Chiefs, scrolling back, they already took Mansour Delane. They do need multiple corners. I can't see them going back-to-back corner in this draft. I just don't see that happening. So at edge, we're going to stop the slide of Akeem Messidor. Now, is there any shock that there's a player I'm not a big fan of and I've drafted him to the Chiefs? Probably not. But at least I kept it a little more realistic than drafting them a kicker or something, because we didn't tune into this podcast. I'm not here at 11 o'clock at night doing a solo podcast without my buddy Jacob just to hate on the Chiefs, am I? Maybe a little bit. Dolphins, Mekhi Lemon earlier filled a need. Obviously, they have a need at defensive back. I think that Colton Hood here, which is funny because I've actually seen Mr. Avion drafted to them a couple times, and I just think he goes way higher than that. So Colton Hood here. I think we also drafted Jermon McCoy here once or twice just because of a slide on him. But as you can see in this draft, I don't really have a slide. Patriots are in a super interesting position. I think that they could trade out. There's been a couple of teams in this draft, but you just never know who they fall in love with. Obviously, Mike Vrabel over there, I think he has a player in his mind that he really, really likes. For this one, we're going to go ahead and draft Caleb Banks in at the defensive line position, and that is going to mark the Caleb Banks debut on the 2020 podcast as a player going in the first round. I don't think we've drafted him in the first round yet. Maybe we have, but I'm pretty sure we haven't. So we are going to cap this off with the defending champion, as much as it pains me to say, defending champion Seattle Seahawks. Now, edge is a need. We got Keldrick Falk. We got Cassius Howell. Defensive back is a need. We got a couple that are waiting there. But I want to do something a little crazy. Something crazy, guys. Obviously, this would be a huge step up from where we've seen this player. The Jadarian Price at number 32. I don't think anybody would expect this, but they lost Kenneth Walker in the offseason. Charbonnet coming off of a torn ACL, I believe it is. So, yeah, I'm a little disappointed that I didn't get any grades on this. They must have thought it was so terrible that it wasn't worth slapping a grade on. I think the last time me and Jacob did one, we got a grade. So, just to recap on this, Fernando Mendoza, number 1 pick. We know this for certain. David Bailey, huge surprise, I think, at number 2. Arvell Reese at 3. Jeremiah Love to the Tennessee Titans. Francis M., my boy, from Miami, first tackle off the board. Carnell Tate going a little higher than expected, or we've seen. Sonny Styles is rapidly shooting up draft boards. He makes it to the top 10. Jordan Tyson, second wide receiver off the board in the top 10. Mansour Delane, cornerback for the Kansas City Chiefs, unfortunately. The Bengals selecting one of the best players in the draft, Caleb Downs. The Dolphins solving their wide receiver need with Mekhi Lemon. Jerry Jones breaking an ankle and busting a hip to run up as quickly as possible to select Ruben Bain Jr. at 12. Spencer Fennell, huge need for the Rams there. Kenyon Sadiq, highest he's gone for us to the Ravens. Jermon McCoy, we don't have him sliding this time. Mr. KC, huge jump up the draft board from where we've had him previously. The guard from Penn State, you guys can laugh at me, but I'm not even going to try. Dylan Thieneman falling to 18. I think this is the first time we've had him sliding past 12. Omar Cooper Jr. to the Panthers. Avion Terrell, cornerback to the Dallas Cowboys. Monroe Freeling, obvious pick for the Steelers. They need a ton of offensive line help. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, my guy out of Toledo, 22 for the Bolts. The Eagles keeping A.J. Brown, elect to go tackle. Back-to-back tackles here for the Browns getting a tackle as well, Caden Proctor. They're having a solid draft with a tackle wide receiver here. The Bears, Caden McDonald, defensive lineman out of Ohio State. The Bills could go edge. They choose to go C.J. Allen here. My 49ers snagging up T.J. Parker. Texans with Caleb Lomu. Akeem Messidor going to the Chiefs. Colton Hood to the Dolphins. Caleb Banks. And the shocker of all shockers, Jadarian Price, halfback from Notre Dame. 2 halfbacks from the same team in the first round. That would probably just be completely shocking. So, as we are here, we got another mock draft taken down by the 2020 podcast. I appreciate you guys for taking a listen. This is the first time I've done this solo. I'm sure there was a lot of ums and maybes in there. I didn't rehearse this beforehand. Jacob actually sent me a text and said, why don't you go do one by yourself? And I was like, you know what, man? I think I will do one by myself. Suck it. I'm going to give it a shot. So yeah, hop in the comments, tell me I'm an idiot, laugh the way I pronounce the name, but just know I am a little bit of a prediction guru here. I did call the Mike Parsons to the Green Bay Packers last year, about a week before it happened, and you can go back on the TikTok and you can find that. But yeah, if you watch any of this, I appreciate it. We really just want to get our thoughts and our opinions on film so we can laugh at each other later. It's just 2 cousins trying to have a good time, and if you spent any time listening to this, I super appreciate it. For now, we got to go. Hopefully you'll see one from Jacob, or you'll see me and Jacob back soon, and we'll see how close we are. For now, peace.